You'll notice lately the outros of my podcast have changed. It's no longer my voice. That's because I'm using my good friend, Michael Thomas Brown, to do the voiceovers for me. You can follow him on Instagram at MIK3TB. He's a great guy. He's sweet, kind, charming, and very talented. So that's all for now. Enjoy this episode.
But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward.
To infinity and beyond.
Some people without brains do an awful lot of talking, don't they?
It's classified.
You talking to me?
I could tell you, but then I'd have to kill you.
I can't fly!
Expecto Patronum!
Entertainment X.
You never know what you're gonna get.
This episode is a little different. I sit down with Karinna Karsten over the phone to talk about love and relationships. Karinna and I met at Digital Hollywood, which is a wonderful networking event that takes place every spring here in New York City, and then that's March, and then in May in LA. And she has created Love TV, among many other ventures, which we touch on for a bit at the beginning. And then we get into relationship advice, what she has also learned from creating her own company, and lessons learned along the way. It was a really fun episode, and I hope you enjoy it as much as I did. We are back, and today with me on the phone is Karinna Karsten. Karinna, how are you?
I am excellent, Clay. It's nice to be on with you today.
Yes, I love technology. The fact that you're in LA and I'm in New York. It's 5 o'clock here, so I am sipping a little wine. But it's 2 o'clock where you are, and I think wine is going to be the perfect thing to sip while we talk about relationships.
Yes.
So I'm excited about this. Little background for the listeners. We met through Digital Hollywood back in March, which is this wonderful, wonderful mixer, if you will, where we talk about the future of digital Hollywood. And you were a moderator on one of the panels. And it's actually coming up again in soon in LA. You're going to be working on it again.
Right. And I think May 22nd.
Love it. Absolutely love it. So I want to talk to you about what you're working on, which is Love TV. And really quick, what is it exactly?
Love TV is a digital brand focused on empowering relationships in the digital age.
I love that. And why did you create it?
Well, relationships have been my personal passion for decades, and I came at it in a variety of different ways, introduced to some fascinating teachers early in my 20s, and that led me to dive into in-depth studies of ancient traditions around love and relationships. And then I brought together a group of women in my living room in New York City when I lived there for 3 years, every month, to discuss relationships and dating and overcoming those things. And one thing led to another, and I would get asked to speak at different places. And that led to my career as a teacher, a relationship teacher. And I've been really passionate ever since. I've written 5 books on relationships and produced a film that aired on Netflix for 4 years. So that was the beginning. But Love TV is really an organic evolution from those early experiences of really seeing the challenges around relationships and dating, and then how the digital age that we live in has made it even more complex but yet exciting. And so wanted to give people both open platform and a safe place to explore what they're going through, as well as provide really helpful tools to speed up your dating success. So that's Love TV.
I love that. When did you become interested in relationships? Was that in New York, or was that from like a younger age?
Early age. I I say that I was actually started becoming interested in relationships when I was below 10 years old, when I would sit at my grandmother's or my aunt's feet while they were watching ABC soap operas.
Oh,
And,
okay.
and I really started to, wow, that's really what relationships are like. So it really stoked my curiosity early on.
So, okay, so where did you grow up?
I grew up in southern Georgia.
Okay. All right, cool. Oh, very cool. Okay, so now from there, I had also now I did some research on you on the web, so fact check me if I'm wrong about any of this. But what exactly led to you researching the relationship wisdom across the globe?
A few things. I have had a career as an international model, and I lived based in New York, but lived all over the world for 7 years. And that actually really opened it up for me, living in
Yeah.
Spain and Paris and Australia and Japan. I really started to go, wow, started to look at how people were relating to each other in these different cultures, and there were similarities and there were differences, and I wanted to get to the root of that. Why were there similarities? Why were there
Yeah.
differences?
Yeah. And so were there any standout like lessons learned from traveling that
So many.
popped in mind? Maybe like a top 3. I know we're on a
Well, I would say that everything is not what it appears to be.
Okay.
And I mean, certainly our cultures are always evolving, so they don't stand in place. But one of the things I started to understand while living in Italy was that while it's known for this very passionate, outgoing, demonstrative culture, and that was true on the surface, behind closed doors, there's a lot of Catholic guilt.
Okay.
And so there was that dichotomy of expression in regards to relationship development. And I saw a lot of complex dynamics like that in different cultures, and that intrigued me. It really stoked me to want to learn more and want to actually reveal these types of ideas that come from very ancient places into our current landscape.
Wow. Now you also, if I'm correct, worked with the Healing Tao Center. So
Yes.
like meditation and what have you. I'm kind of curious.
Yes.
Do you meditate?
Yes, I'm a lifelong meditator.
Okay. All right. Can I ask like what kind, how long, time of day?
Good questions.
Thank you.
If I could, I would meditate all the time. I meditate every day in some capacity. Ideally, I meditate morning and evening, but sometimes I just need a break, and I will meditate, in the middle of the workday. I'll just go and say, hey, I want to recenter myself. I want to clear my energy, and I'll take 10 minutes. But my normal practice is 30 minutes to an hour.
Okay. 30. Oh, wow. That's something you worked up to, or have you always done 30?
I've done very long meditations for many, many years. I used to do a 3-hour-a-day practice.
Oh my goodness!
I actually brought myself back just to run a business but I've learned a variety of different meditation styles. Through my exploration of meditation, I've taught meditation for a long time, and I have basically incorporated and integrated certain styles to develop what works for me.
I absolutely love that. What brought you out to Hawaii? Were you doing?
I lived in New York for a long time, and I really was ready for some warm weather.
oh yes, I know that feeling.
and New York was really where I started to cultivate my career as a relationship teacher and educator and private coach. And then that evolved into creating a business in Hawaii, and so that was kind of my first foray into business in a more formal way.
And the business, in a sense, was coaching.
Well, it was twofold. Paradise Wellness was both creating wellness programs for Hawaiian resorts.
Okay.
And it was also teaching privately all over the island.
Do you miss it, Hawaii?
It is such a sacred home for me, and my husband and I were there in January of this year, and it's one of those special places that it can capture your heart. And now Pele, the goddess of the volcano on the Big Island, has really erupted, and has really been on a destructive path. It's destroyed a lot of homes, so I really have a lot of compassion for the residents that are going through that right now.
Are you? Do you make it back there regularly, or are you going to be going back soon?
Yeah, January I was there, and I try to get back there at least once a year.
Okay. So I'm interested here in talking about some common themes of relationship coaching. Mm-hmm. For instance, we can begin with: are there common pitfalls in relationships? That's a very open-ended question. I know I gave you a very open-ended question.
I think that there's some general pitfalls that people can fall into. That's for sure. Yes, and then there are distinct individual pitfalls that we can fall into.
Isn't that the truth? So and I guess in a sense, when you do like a relationship coaching, it ends up being individual because there's something about the individual that needs to change to mesh with the other. Am I mistaken by saying that?
Well, as a relationship guide, what I have learned, and I don't do it individually anymore. We provide actually a subscription service on Love TV where we have all the tools for you there, which is actually easier than just working with a one-on-one guide. But what I have found is that you have to come back to getting to know yourself better. If you're not happy with the way your relationship life is going, you have to investigate like what's up inside.
Yeah.
And often we have blind spots that we can't see. And it's not about blaming ourselves, but it's about uncovering viewpoints and habits and behaviors that are keeping us where we don't want to be. And so that's what any good guidance can help you with is that process, and then how do you then take that and apply it to success.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, that's an interesting view on it. So then discussing about so people can go to your website to actually get this information. What is there like a general outline on there as in how to help out a relationship, or like it's like a question and answer sort of situation?
So on lovetv.co, which is our platform, we both provide free content that's available, and it covers a variety of subject matters that you're dealing with around relationships, dating, and sex. That's relevant to living in the world of relationships today. And then if you really want to speed up your own success in dating and relationship building, you can become a Love TV member.
Okay.
And when you're a Love TV member, then you get access to amazing interactive experiences and tutorials and a community that help to foster your relationship success. You even get access to private messaging on particular questions that you have.
I love that. What does helping a relationship do to you or for you?
Well, I think that if you're a person who's interested in self-awareness, relationships speed that process up. You learn more about who you are and what you're here to be and how you're here to contribute more through your relationships than any other way. And that could come in the form of a very intimate relationship. So I call it, I call relationships a spiritual path.
Why do you call it that?
Because when we honor them, when we respect who that other human being is on the other side, and we honor ourselves, there's so many valuable insights and experiences that we can have that illuminate us.
Yeah.
And that's why it's spiritual.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense to me. Are you a big proponent well, I'm going to ask you a question. The answer is probably yes. I was going to say, are you a big proponent on relationships, always being in a relationship? Or you think there's like a happy medium, a balance between it? Or is it kind of just, I'll let you answer that.
Well, I think that we are on our own journey. And we have a grand adventure in this life that we are on the course of fulfilling. And sometimes we're single, and sometimes we're in relationships, and sometimes those relationships last for our whole life, and other times they, lead us to a deeper understanding of ourselves, and we let go, and then we move on to something else. And so there's no one right way for all individuals. And Love TV is really about having the space where everyone is invited to the table to love, and everyone has their own journey and their course of discovery. And so we really focus on providing really interesting content that can speak to you wherever you are.
Yeah. Are there any standout stories or memories in your mind of maybe coaching a relationship that has taught you about yourself?
Oh, goodness. There's been so many. I don't know if there isn't, frankly, I don't know that there is one that stands out. They all stand out in my mind because I've always learned from each experience. And I've been in a relationship and married for 12 years, and that relationship keeps teaching me every day. And I think of it as a beautiful gift to be able to keep learning.
Yeah.
Just continuing to learn.
Yeah, always being opening to to learning. Okay, what have you learned about human needs through relationship coaching?
Well, I think we have to just get back to the fundamentals about who we are, which is we're human.
Yeah.
We are human. We are not a transaction.
We are not a transaction. I love that.
Because that's the way we often engage with each other in the digital age that we're living, is in a transactional way. And we forget that there's a human being on the other side.
Yeah. Yeah.
And remembering our humanness is so fundamental to actually developing good relationships.
Yeah. That's what I think so interesting about what you're doing is that, you're getting back to the basics and that human need contact, and it's done through, the interweb, the digital age. So it's interesting to create that even though it's through a digital platform.
Right. Exactly. With human touch.
Yeah.
And because that fits our lifestyles now, we don't, there's only a few, a small percentage of people who will invest the time and the resources to see a private coach. It's just, it's a very, expensive, both in time and resource endeavor. And so when you have something that's at your hand that you can utilize any time of the day to help you actually succeed at where you want to go in your relationships, that suits our lifestyles and our pocketbooks.
Isn't that the truth? So I have I would call this a specific question, although I have a feeling it's a case-by-case basis. I'm just going to throw it out there and we'll see what you say about it. So I is something I just happened to notice as I'm like perusing the news or media outlets or what have you. There are some very successful people who have done a wonderful job creating more or less an empire for themselves. Yet they're not in a relationship, or
Correct.
they're not having that actual vulnerable connection with another human. I hate to have you sit here and speculate, but I'm kind of curious what your views are on that.
Oh, that's so interesting, Clay, that you brought that up. I think it's an interesting phenomenon. I think it speaks to the era that we're living in. I think that people pull from different life experiences in a personal journey. I think that often we're drawn to a profession based on things that were difficult for us or challenging for us that we wanted to heal. And so to your point, people may build these big platforms, but they're still healing. They're still looking for a solution for their own self in relationship building. But that's not, it's certainly a case-by-case experience. And
Yes, of course. It's just so interesting to me to see something like that, to understand something like that. Because at the end of the day, we all have basic human needs. And we do a whole bunch of stuff to hide them, fulfill them. We do weird things for survival. And sometimes it's everything but human touch with another,
Right.
Other.
Right. Coping, yeah, right.
So,
and how do you, I would love to turn that question on you as someone who's looking at that but may see, a celebrity relationship person, but you know that they're not in a relationship. How do you respond to that?
Like, what are my thoughts on it? Or
Yeah,
views?
like do you have any judgments on that? What are your your first instincts?
My first observations on it are, that's very interesting. Because you need, by nature, humans want to help each other. by nature. So for
Right.
you, not you specifically, but for you, that celebrity, to make those relationships with so many people to build your, your platform or your empire, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
How are you going about that in an authentic way, or are people seeing through it? And then, so how is that happening? Yet you're not, sleeping with
Living
someone.
it.
Yeah, living with someone. I don't want to say, like going to bed with someone, or even being
Yeah.
being in a relationship. And then I think that brings up an interesting point, because that's a survival technique. There's something going on there. There's a reason. Everything has a reason. And it's so interesting, like how, and it fascinates me how, there's one thing that goes wrong in your childhood or something, and you spend your entire life trying to maybe not fix it, but cover it up. And humans by nature will try a bunch of things. We have addictions, we have, let's try something else, whatever the case is. So it's so interesting for me to see that. And I feel like I see that at face value. I'm like, oh, well, you could just, go back to the moment in time when that happened to you, because everything starts in a moment in time. There's like some traumatic moment that you create a survival technique, and then that moment passes, but you're still living with the survival technique, although it's outdated and it's not needed anymore. Does that answer?
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing those reflections for sure. It's interesting.
It is. And I mean, I don't, I don't even have a particular person in mind, so I don't even have, and I don't, know of anyone, so like, if there's no reason to, there's no specific, I don't know the exact reason behind it, but I could maybe infer or guess that that would be it. So I always think that's so interesting, because relationships are very important. Personal relationships.
Right. Personal relationships are very important, and I feel that we're not as equipped as we need to be in terms of building quality relationships today. That's what I see over and over again, and that's why there's so many misses with, you're a independent and beautiful person, and you're not quite connecting to the person that you're supposed to be with or you want to be with.
Yeah.
And it has to do with a few things, but our viewpoint, how we assess and discern, and also how well we're equipped for building once we have actually discerned someone who is good for us.
Yeah. Well, you bring up I have two questions here that you brought up. One, you said we're not equipped. What do you think the right equipment is?
Well, one is it's high EQ, high emotional intelligence.
High emotional intelligence. Okay. Knowing
Yeah,
what
that's
my emotion
so
is telling me?
fundamental. Well, you have to know where you are in your development as an emotional human being, and I think that frankly, the whole ecosystem of dating is suffering from a lack of maturity. There's a lot of immaturity.
Let them know.
Yeah, there's a lot of immaturity that is not getting people connected. So understanding your emotional EQ, which you can actually learn through becoming a Love TV member, is being able to say, who am I emotionally, and where am I weak, where am I strong, how can I get better at, one, discerning my own emotions, expressing my own emotions, being there and listening to someone else's emotions, being sensitive and have the capacity to help someone through an emotional experience, and being generous. There is an emotional generosity that is lacking.
An emotional generosity is lacking. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think it's necessary to be hurt as personal
No.
growth in a relationship?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, that's BS.
Okay, no, this is good. This is like, let's break down the norms here. Let's break down the
Yeah, no.
misconceptions.
Basically, a lack of love causes pain. Love does not cause pain.
True. That's true. Are there other...
Emotional intelligence does not cause pain. The lack of emotional intelligence causes pain. And so it has to do with your development stage and who you're aligned with in your development stage. So often what I see is that people are misaligned in their emotional maturity. So one is just like really, doing good, naturally emotionally intelligent, and they have a partner who, checks off a bunch of boxes that is totally on a different page in regards to relationship building intelligence and emotional intelligence, and so they're constantly trying to say, come along,
Yeah.
But they can't do it because they're not there.
Yeah.
And I think we can waste a lot of time doing that. And, that's where we've got to get better. We've got to develop our own understanding of where we're at and then choose partners that are more aligned with that maturity.
Yeah. Are there other common misconceptions in relationships that you've heard? That's another big question. Yeah, that's a large question.
Misconceptions, yes. Break it down.
Okay. So, for instance, like this, it's necessary to be hurt or not necessary to be hurt. Are there other, and I'm trying to think of something, like a specific story that I've heard that I could
relationships are work.
Yeah. Oh, yeah? They're not.
No, that's a comment that I hear. We work on it, That's a big comment that I hear about relationships. And I think that word is not the right word.
What's the right word?
The right word is awakening. I am awakening to myself. I am awakening in this relationship. It takes all the work out of it. Yeah, because that's really what it is. It's either I am aware and awake to a certain dynamic, a certain experience, even, when a partner, a potential partner, does something that feels insensitive and disrespectful, that you become aware or awake of why that behavior happened in the first place. And sometimes we are so wanting a relationship or wanting a particular relationship partner that we override so many signals that are telling us, wait a second, check in about this, or wait to do this before doing that. But we override those things and we get ourselves far down the track in our own mind when that's not where the other person is. And so those are the things that we have to just stop and say, wow, okay, where am I in my awareness? Why is that happening now?
Yeah, that's very interesting. I don't know if there's anything I can add to that. Okay, so another question for you then, in relationships, and I hear this a lot as a guy, like my friends who are girls will come up to me and they'll say like, hey, I'm with this guy, we hang out, we love each other, or, we're interested in each other, but he doesn't want to date me, but he likes to hang out with me. He likes hanging out with me. And then, and I'm asking, like, what's your point of view on this, or what first thoughts come to your mind? But
when she's really into him, but he's not saying he's into her.
Yeah. And then
don't waste your time.
Don't waste your time. Okay. Yeah. Because that's the first thing I do is I'm like, well, why would I do that? Because I'm a guy. So why would I do that? And it's like, well, because we're not going to, they don't want to date. You know what I mean? So don't waste your time, which is what you just said. So that's interesting.
Right, and I actually hear women sometimes today saying, "Oh, I'm just chill. I'm not going to push it. I'm not going to, I'm just going to see, like, let it happen. I'm going to breathe with it." I think that's a mistake. It's a waste of your time, and it can be the same for a man or someone who identifies as transgender. It's a mistake. You have to be very clear about what you are and what you're looking for. And you need to know with clarity what that other person is wanting. And they will tell you with their words and their behavior right away. You just have to listen.
You just have to listen. Yeah. No, it's true, because that sounds so simple, yet the things we do to get away from simpleness make things complicated.
Yes, because we all human beings, whether we choose to be in a personal partnership or not, we want connection. We want to connect. We don't want to travel this journey alone. And so, but the connection needs to be clear. What is this connection? Now, of course, there's always room for things to evolve, but I think that at this stage what the connection is right away.
Yeah.
And you have to pay attention and you utilize your time wisely.
What do you think when you hear someone say, "I don't know if I'm meant to be married or in a relationship. Maybe I'm just meant to be single the rest of my life"?
That's fine. That means that person is really interested in being with, dating multiple people or potentially being in a polyamorous relationship, a situation. All of those things are legitimate, and they can be done with a lot of honesty and consciousness and joy. I know quite a few people that have chosen to just be single and enjoy that experience, or be polyamorous, and that really works for them. And they're joyful because they're not living just a monogamous relationship life for themselves.
Yeah. It makes me go back a few minutes to what we were talking about with people who create empires but are single. I wonder if that's the choice for them. Could be the case. We don't know.
It could be. They may be serial daters that just, don't want to have a committed relationship. That we'll never know because we're not in their heads.
Exactly. No, that's the truth. Question for you. How does one know when it's over?
I think that you often know way before. But I think that when you really know is when someone is not respecting you or you're not respecting them.
Yeah.
That's when you know.
And respect is what relationships are all about, or one of the things.
It is so fundamental. Yeah, you can't have a relationship without respect.
That's so true. Wow. I'm so glad I just got to pick your brain over those things. So
Yes, Clay, are you in a relationship right now?
I am not. Are
you a serial dater, or are you just taking your time out?
I am with someone. We're not dating. I have been 1 year out of a 2-year relationship.
Cool.
So I'm very glad now that I've broadcasted on my podcast.
Well, there you go. People know.
Oh, I got hot in here real quick. It's the wine. No.
So you've been out of a relationship and you're just enjoying the moment.
I am. Yeah. Yes. I don't know where it's meant to go. Now, am I lying to myself when I say that, Karinna?
Mm,
I think there's also a part of me, without getting like, I hate to get like too personal on here, but I think
yeah,
there's a
sure.
part of me,
Of course.
when you date someone for a long time, it takes a while to get over them.
Yes, it
And
does.
I want to stay mentally healthy. And I have crossed wires before, dating too quickly out of a previous relationship. I've done that before.
Yeah.
I think we all have.
Yeah.
And I'm saying I think we all have, so I don't feel alone when I say that. Is that I don't want that to happen,
Right.
And it's deciding, okay, when does that truth become an excuse?
Mhm.
Because
Mhm.
I think that truth is becoming an excuse. It hasn't yet, but I think it is. Oh, you're
Mm.
getting me to share everything here, aren't you?
I love sharing human experience. We're having an intimate experience right now,
We really
Clay.
are, over 3 time zones. I love it.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you sharing where you're at and your vulnerability, and I think it sounds like that there's just some peace inside of you that still needs to heal and kind of close that chapter internally. And
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think that there's some ways that you can do that. In fact, there's a practice called letting go inside the Love TV membership that I think
Okay.
would be really good for you.
Okay. I'm listening. Okay.
I think it would help.
I'll take a
I
look
think
at
it would
it.
help you put that close that chapter.
Yeah. Yeah, because I know I'm not alone in feeling that. I know other people experience the
No.
same situation, so it's interesting for me to step up and share that, because I would venture a guess that other people listening are experiencing the same situation, at least one.
Absolutely.
So, very interesting. Yeah, I'm going to check that out. Okay. So, moving away from me, back to you. I have some questions for you here, because funny enough, time flies when you're having fun, and we're going to have to start wrapping up soon. So, curious, where do you see Love TV going?
Well, Love TV's whole vision and mission is to really see the world as, vibrantly in love.
Yeah.
And vibrantly in love being single, or vibrantly in love being in the right relationship. But having an open heart and awareness to create the kinds of connections, the kinds of personal experiences that you want to have, and not feel frustrated and in pain about where you are at. So we want to help you cross that threshold. And so the vision is that we can do that for a lot of people, and make the world a better place.
Yeah. What's most rewarding to you about what you do?
I think hearing the aha in an audience member, or seeing that person who has been sitting on the sidelines of their love life actually move and not make excuses and take responsibility for themselves and their happiness, and actualize right relationships. That excites me.
Yeah. Have you found your purpose?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love hearing that. There's that feeling when you find it, of like a flow state? Everything feels right. Everything you're doing every day.
I think on days where you're not fully problem solving, I think
Okay.
I think flow state is certainly the highest achievement, and I feel the flow state a lot. But I also am very much aware that there's all kinds of influences that come into a business, a day, a person that you have to often problem solve around to basically create even more flow state. And so about 8 months ago, I was like, oh, right, my nickname instead of CEO is CPO, Chief Problem Officer. Wow, I'm just going to own that.
Yes. Oh, that's the flow state to be in. Oh, my goodness. Well, you're actually bringing up a great point, because my next question is, what have you learned about leadership through creating Love TV and Sacred Love and all of these entities?
I think that you're as good as the team that you bring around you. We don't do any of these things alone, especially if we have the opportunity to grow a business. And so what I've found is that I've had a huge growth experience in choosing wisely and continuing to be able to inspire, trust. I don't like the word manage, but instill in the people that work with me the confidence that I have in them to deliver on what they say they're going to deliver on. And so those have been my biggest learning curves. And then, of course, how do we actually achieve the result that we're looking for, which is to help as many people as possible speed up their success at dating and relationship building. Yeah. So I'm always thinking about that. So that keeps me busy.
Oh, that's a full-time job. Is when you lose your focus, how do you get back on track?
I don't think I ever lose focus. I think where my challenge is turning off. I'm always focused.
Oh, turning off the focus.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Is that why you meditate in the evening as well?
Yeah, or take a long hike. That helps me really let go and be close to nature, which I love.
Yeah. Okay. Now, are you hiking daily, or is that like a?
I'd say every other day, every few days. I'm grateful to have so many beautiful trails here in Southern California to hike on.
Yes. There are some beautiful spots there in that area. Yeah.
There really is.
Okay, so I got a few left here. What mistakes have you made that have proved essential in learning?
I think that if I were just, we can always frame things in different ways. I think instead of mistake, because to me mistake connects to regret, and I don't have any regrets. Okay. And I don't want to have any regrets. So what I like to say is that my learning curve,
okay, I
didn't know that then. I know that now. I'm learning that now. Yeah. Is that we can limit ourselves by feeling that we don't have something in place, meaning I don't have that person to help me with that, or I don't have enough resources to do that, which is the big vision, or, I am waiting on something. And that has been a huge learning curve, is to take that information that's going through my mind and say, okay, I'm going to just put you here on the side and I'm going to keep moving no matter what. no matter if I have that person, no matter if I have that amount of resources, I'm going to keep going. And that has been huge. It's taken me a long time on that learning curve.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm finally making traction there.
Yeah, you brought up a good point with reframing and framing. The way you look at something matters. What you focus on, you find. And having
That is it, and I think that's one of the biggest hindrances to finding the right relationship experience for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have any like best, most worthwhile investments, be it like time, money, or skill set?
In what particularly?
For instance, the answer could be like spending the time you spent in Hawaii was an incredible investment on, or like traveling or, anything.
Sure. Oh, yes. Well, I personally, my top investments are always travel.
Yeah.
Because it just opens you up in so many different ways to yourself and the world. And I think that's an incredible investment. I think your wellness is a huge investment. I think the quality of your wellness really indicates the quality of your life. That's always, if we put our attention there, that's always evolving. But wellness really indicates your state of relationship building and your health long term. So very much invest in the wellness.
I love that. Do you work out a lot?
I do work out, but I hike. That's
hiking.
more my workout.
That's
hiking.
Great. That's absolutely great. Do you have any most gifted books? Books you've gifted often?
There's a few. There's The Surrender Experiment.
Okay.
I think it's Michael Singer. The Tao Te Ching is a very important book to me. Oldie, The Game of Life and How to Play It. And the one that sits on my desk, which is always inspiring me, is Richard Branson, Losing My Virginity.
Ooh, that's a good book. I have read that one. I'm going to have to read these other ones you've mentioned. That's a good book. Have you finished it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, it sits there.
That's my addiction, is reading biographies about people who are alive or have passed on that led very inspirational lives. So I'm a sucker for that.
Yeah, he's written a few.
He has.
Have you read all of them? I actually can't remember.
I haven't. This is really the one I've read. But certainly Richard Branson has been a great inspiration and in many ways to me.
Yeah. Yeah, he's done well for himself.
Yes.
Okay. Is there a common piece of incorrect advice you hear in your field? And I know we talked about a lot of that with relationship, but even entrepreneurship or any sort of, living a balanced life.
That's an interesting question because you could pull it from any particular area.
Yeah.
I will reflect on it in terms of entrepreneurship. There's no right way to success for an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
You have got to find your own way. And I think that's what is super important. And people can give you anecdotal advice, and you should listen to it all and then assimilate it for you. And I had someone come over recently who told a story about a job that they were offered two different jobs, and one was a kind of a mission-focused job, and the other one was like just this rock star company. And they went inside of themselves and they said, well, I could cash out really quickly with this company, or I could do this other thing that feels more true to myself and my values. And they ended up making that choice. And those are the kinds of things that people can't teach you how to do, but you have to, moment to moment, make those decisions that are true for you. No matter if, they end up with that big golden ring.
Yeah, that's true. I like that. There's no right way to success. I really like that. That's true. Do you have, metaphorically speaking, a billboard quote that you could put up for millions to see? It could be a quote or a word.
Yes. Here it is.
Yes.
You are free to love. Express your full colors.
Oh, I love that. Express your full colors. Wow. Well, thank you for expressing your full colors and taking this time with me on the phone, because I think this is really great information to get out to more people, and I appreciate you sharing it.
Thank you. And for those who want to know more, visit lovetv.co.
Is that where we can find you as well?
Yes.
Wonderful. lovetv.co.
.co. And thank you so much, Clay, for inviting me to do your interview and your show today.
Yes. So much fun. Enjoy it. It's only, 3:00 there?
It's almost 3.
Oh, well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Clay. Have a great rest of your evening.
You've been listening to Entertainment X, the podcast. You can follow Entertainment X on Instagram at _EntertainmentX_. If you haven't yet, go to Apple Podcasts and subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. Join Clay next week for another curiosity conversation on Entertainment X. Thank you for listening.